Thanks, Brad. That was really inspiring. In today's world, digital tech intensity is more important than ever, and we look to each other to help us understand where we're going and how we'll get there. It's my extreme pleasure to welcome Satya back for a few questions.
Thank you so much, Gav, and a warm welcome to all of you who are watching Inspire. I want to start by saying a big thank you to our community of partners. Also want to take this opportunity to recognize and congratulate all of the Partner of the Year award winners. It's amazing to see what you've been able to accomplish. Thank you and congratulations. And thank you for the work you do to serve our customers.
Satya, thank you so much for being here with us today. COVID-19 has fundamentally reshaped how companies across the public and private sectors are operating. How do you balance where Microsoft is today and simultaneously look at how we're going to help customers respond, recover, and reimagine going forward? And how are you approaching this as you talk to business leaders in your daily conversations?
No, you're absolutely right, Gab. I mean, across this face, or the three phases of response, recovery, reimagine, digital technology and digital transformation is key. In fact, I would say digital tech intensity is key to both resilience as well as transformation. And that's what you see with the partner opportunity, in fact. Partners are able to work with businesses both create that business continuity and transformation. The example we used with Patagonia and Sunrise Technologies and how they use this federation capability of D365 they fundamentally constrained warehouse as well as retail environment, and yet Patagonia was able to go do business. That is amazing work by Sunrise. Agriculture, I know it's Land of Lakes has been working with Tavant to reimagine what agri-tech and how to put insights into the farmer's hands and change is the entire business, how it happens from the farm to sort of essentially the shelf. Or in security, we were able to see the work in Australia by Vigilant IT and Serenitas and how they use the entire end-to-end zero trust technology framework to be able to ensure security for that organization. In public sector, we saw Pivot Pro working with one of the largest EU governments and really use the power of the cloud to bring agility and efficiency and analytical power at a time of acute need. So you're absolutely right. This is a tremendous opportunity for our partners because I think the architectural coherence of our tech stack and our solution areas make us so much more relevant as an ecosystem to our customers.
You're absolutely right. I have been amazed at the level of innovation, the level of agility and response that our partners have had. And I think those are all really tremendous examples. We just heard in your keynote, you talk about the importance of having a corporate purpose. Can you talk about how has this notion of purpose been helpful to Microsoft, and how should it drive technology-focused companies moving forward?
I think, Gav, going forward, each of us have to have that core sense of purpose that's grounded in the reality that if we are doing well, that means the world around us should be doing well, right? To me, that's at the core. Like, for example, even take our ecosystem here, which is, to me, for Microsoft to do well, you all as partners have to do well. That's ingrained in our business model. That's why I always sort of talk about us being a partner-led company. But it's much more than that even, because the social purpose of a company is to be able to create profitable solutions for people and planet. And that's what we are doing when we say our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. We want to drive economic growth because of tech intensity, but that economic growth is not just about economic growth, it's also about creating more economic inclusion, whether it's first-line workers, knowledge workers, whether it's small business, large business, across all sectors of the economy in every country, whether it's developed or developing. That's most important. Trust in technology, sustainability, as well as making sure that we really are standing behind the fundamental rights for people and against any of these racial injustice or any of the discrimination. So these are all things that your corporate purpose should ensure you do. And so when we participate in any community or any country, we want to make sure that our mission and our purpose comes through in all of our activities, not just a set of words, but it's the everyday decision making.
Absolutely. That's so true. It has to be so authentic That's the only way that we get motivated, that we wake up every day. That's why I love Microsoft. And Microsoft just recently made a significant announcement to address racial injustice across our culture and our communities. What role can the partner ecosystem play in addressing these pressing societal issues?
First, this is a very important issue. And I would say, second, we need to start with our own selves, right? I mean, to me at Microsoft, we are redoubling our efforts. We've been focused on it, but we have a lot more progress to make. And especially, I think the world has really seen and come together in solidarity with the core issues that the African American Black community in our country, in the United States, have faced. And so therefore, it's so important for us to start with representation and inclusion at Microsoft, to start with representation at all levels. This is something that I have to do more work. Everyone at Microsoft has to do more work, and that's where it starts. But we have we have put forth a framework that we're going to hold ourselves accountable to, which starts with Microsoft, its own change, its own representation, its own inclusion culture, but does extend to our ecosystem as well as the communities. So I think each of you as partners absolutely can make a huge difference. And in fact, I think us working together, perhaps in amplifying essentially this universal frame that we have, is what we will need to do. And it's a very important priority for us. And we're going to sort of have to keep coming back and making sure, most importantly, that we're making progress and we're holding ourselves accountable like we do for any other thing like business results.
Absolutely. You have my commitment there. Thank you for your leadership, Satya, because it is an incredibly important conversation that we need to continue to have. We're seeing entire societies and countries move from a global mindset to one that is nation first. What does the COVID-19 pandemic tell us about the state of international collaboration? Is the trend of globalization going away? Or do you think we're going to have a structural shift towards de-globalization?
I mean, it's a very interesting question. In fact, I remember coming to the United States just as the Berlin Wall was falling, and the last 30 years for sure have been very different. But, at some level, I take a very historical perspective on globalization. Globalization has been going on for millennia. It'll go on for millennia. The thing, though, to ask is, what about all those communities and people who got left behind in every country, in the United States, in the developing world, in Europe, in Latin America, in Asia, because of globalization? The issue is that I think unless and until we can ensure that every community thrives, the world won't thrive. That, I think, is the biggest lesson we can take from what you just described as perhaps new nationalism. The new nationalism, at least in my view, stems from the fact that the benefits of the last phase of globalization were not evenly distributed. That's where I believe Microsoft and our ecosystem are so uniquely different. Right? I mean, take even the fact that our participation in any country through the help of you all leads to more local surplus. I mean, the more employees you have, the more revenue and bottom line you have, more of the customers you serve, small business, public sector, large business, the more surplus they have. That's what I think is the license to operate. As a multinational company, I believe Microsoft only will have a license to operate in any country is if you're creating local surplus. That's ingrained in our business model. So I feel whether it's nation first or globalization first, I think we have to sort of understand that unless and until you're creating local surplus, you're not going to have an economic opportunity and you're not going to have a license to operate in a country. And to me at Microsoft, we're grounded in that. It's not, again, it's embedded in our core business model.
I think you're absolutely right. Thank you so much, Satya, for spending time with our global partner community. As always, your insight has been enlightening. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Gab. It's great.
Okay, so now here's Nick Parker.